Hi guys, welcome back and thanks for watching. I'm Shay with Beauty Along, and it seems like it's been a really long time since I've made a video. I've been posting some of my older videos recently, some of them with my old camera setup, just to kind of clean them out, and so I've had kind of a window in which I haven't had to post anything new. But I have a tutorial that I really wanted to share with Beauty Along, and every time I went to look for it on YouTube, I couldn't find, well, I could find videos on the topic, but they were, a lot of them were really poor quality videos, and I try to make sure that the videos that we post on Beauty Along are really clear, have, you know, decent audio, decent lighting, because we're all trying to learn from them as we go along. And I really couldn't find anything that illustrated quite what I wanted to illustrate and not at the quality that I would really like it to be filmed at. So recently on Beauty Along, our resident author Ginny wrote a whole post about loose pigments and some of her favorite brands and kind of what the benefits are of loose pigments, and linked to a couple of videos with more information on it. And I thought it would be great to kind of do a tutorial, a Beauty Along challenge, which uses just one pigment, super simple, so that anyone who hasn't dabbled in pigments yet can go out and grab just one color, whatever color they want to play with this week, and experiment with the whole idea of pigments as a medium for your makeup. So if you're looking for a super affordable pigment, your best bet is NYX. So NYX has these little Ultra Pearl Mania, these ones are called, and they're loose pigments, and they have quite a rainbow of colors. I have a bunch of them here actually. Here's just a few of them, and they're these little tiny jars, and they're like $3, and if you get them on sale you can often get them for $1.50, which is ridiculous. This has 0.06 fluid ounces, 5 milliliters of product in here, and that doesn't seem like much, but oh man, once you start playing with pigments you're going to find out how far that can really go. You do not need much. Use sparingly, because this stuff is volatile. The NYX product, as you might expect with a lot of things that are kind of drugstore quality or drugstore brand, is not quite as pigmented as some of the others that you're gonna find, and doesn't have quite the lasting, you know, it doesn't quite last as long as some of the higher end brands that you can get. But if you're just venturing out and you're not sure that you want to make a big investment, this is a really great place to start. Other than the longevity and pigmentation of the pigments, my only other complaint is, I'm going to see if you can see this at all, is this tiny little opening on the jar. Now, my theory is that they're trying to limit the blast radius. Basically, if you crack pigments open and you drop even a little bit, the outcome is impressive. You're gonna get a lot of color, and it's kind of can be kind of difficult to clean up, and being that it's a loose powder, it can kind of explode all over the place. So this little tiny opening makes it so that only so much can get out of the jar at a time. But it also makes it kind of difficult to get out of the jar in a small quantity. So this, basically the best thing you can do with this is just tap a little bit on whatever you're using for a palette. Sometimes I'll just use, like I have my little ghetto palette that I've shown you in a past video before. Sometimes I'll just use the surface of this, or my Inglot palette, which is not next to me now. I'll just use that surface as a palette. You can use a plate, you can use an actual palette. There's also palettes that you can wear on your wrist with little elastic bands that are super handy. Anyway, the point being that you don't want to work directly from the jar, you want to work off of something else. So by contrast, I have my Inglot here, and this is 0.07 ounces, and quite a nice wide mouth low jar here. And so there's plenty of access in there, and generally when I'm working with these, I'll just use the end of a brush and I'll scoop a little out. You can use a little artist palette knife or something, because you just need to scoop the tiniest amount out to work with. Like I said, I decided to focus on just one color of pigment today, so I'm going to start in the usual fashion. Just getting on some primer potion. I'm going to use my Urban Decay primer potion. as my base. I already have my foundation on and everything. I did my foundation routine before I turned the camera on, because it looks pretty much the same every time. Okay, so the primer potion is a good start, but with pigments, it's good to have something slightly stickier, slightly tackier on the eye for it to literally press into. And my jumbo eye pencils by NYX are what I use most often, but just for the sake of variety, I'm gonna use my paint stick, my pure white paint stick from MAC. So this guy right here, and I just get a little on my finger like so, and then I apply that to my eye. This is definitely more expensive than you get from NYX. Obviously it's got the MAC label on it, but it is a humongous amount of product. Let me see what's on here. 7 grams, 0.24 ounces, versus on my NYX pencil, 5 grams, 0.18 ounces, and you don't use all of that because of course when you're sharpening, you're not going to get all of it out of that. This guy is just one long continuous stick here, so all of that is going to be able to be used. It's also denser. The pigment is much more dense. I feel like I kind of have to pack on a couple of layers of my NYX Jumbo pencils to get good opacity. And with the MAC paint sticks, it's just that little amount, tap, 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 and I have the opacity that I want. So I'm just putting that on my mobile lid. I'm going to be doing a pop of color today. So we're going to focus on the mobile lid for the primary color that we're using. I'm going to briefly pop over into my Naked palette, and I'm going to use my Real Techniques crease brush. And I'm going to pick up Buck. Any medium to light matte brown will do. I'm going to pick up some of that and put it right in the crease here. This is going to be my transition color. This is going to help it so that I don't just have one giant line of whatever bright color I've chosen. It's just going to soften that, literally soften the transition. And so for me with my hooded lid, I'm going into the crease and just above the crease, concentrating the darkest color in the crease and then blending up above. I am going to use my Inglot number 70 pigment. It is a beautiful deep, deep teal color. And as I said, I'm just going to use the end of my brush and I'm going to dip up just like that little amount. And that's even more than I'm probably going to use. Just that tiny bit. And I'm just going to put it onto the top of my palette here. Okay. Now there are two things I'm going to do immediately. First of all, I'm going to wipe off the end of this guy because anything this touches is going to turn teal. And very next thing I'm going to do is cap this guy because you don't want to accidentally bump it and knock it off of your vanity or your counter. You don't want to bump this thing. You want that puppy sealed whenever you are not using it. So I'm going to take a flat shader brush. It's just this nice, flat, dense. It's a synthetic brush. And this is going to pick up a good amount of product. Particularly with loose pigments, you want to use a flat shader brush rather than a big flat or a big fluffy brush. Big fluffy brushes, you're going to spread that stuff all over and you're going to get a lot of fallout. You're going to get a lot of raining down onto your cheeks. This tends to control your product just a little bit more. So I'm going to dab it on and I'm going to tap any excess off, again trying to protect it from too much fallout. And then I'm going to pack that directly on. Look at that. So intense. Directly onto the paint stick or whatever sticky base layer you've gone for. I have a tiny, tiny bit of fallout. You probably can't even see it on the video camera. It's so light. But what you'll find is if you take another brush, you know, sometimes people will just brush their fallout away or wipe it away. You're going to find little blue streaks on your cheeks immediately. So I take a cotton ball and I fluff it up good. So I've got lots of fibers there, and I'm just gonna dab it on there to pick up the fallout. There, and then no streakies. And then obviously I'm gonna repeat on the other eye. So picking up some product, tapping it off, and then gently and carefully packing it on. Right down to the lash line. When working with colors of this intensity, you can really tell if you leave any areas kind of in the lash line or near the lash line untouched. So make sure you get every little bit. Now I have some product left there. I didn't even use half of it really, but I don't intend to use any more of this in this look. So again, I'm gonna take a cotton wipe or a tissue or something, and I'm gonna clean this up right away, because all it takes is bumping that, and I'm gonna send that stuff all over my vanity, and the cleanup is gonna be a mess. So I just took that little cotton round that I just fluffed up, grabbed it, and I'm gonna put that right in the trash. And my palette's nice and clean, and my vanity will stay nice and clean. Now the other thing you're gonna find out about pigments, due to their intensity, is, you know, I typically will wash my brushes maybe once a week, depending on how dark the colors are I'm using that week. But it will start to kind of stain the tip of your brush right away, and I will not use this for another color this week. So I will wash this brush right away to ensure that I don't get any color transfer that I don't want. I am going to my Stila in the Know palette. It has this great matte brown color, a dark matte brown called Earth, that I think will make a really great crease color for this. I think turquoise and teals into dark browns is a really beautiful look. So I'm going to use a pencil brush. They call this a round crease brush. It's a old Sephora brush, but it's basically a pencil brush, a tapered pencil brush. It makes this easy to control and keeps the color right in the crease where I want it. So dabbing that into the crease and outer V. I'm gonna deposit it first, and then I'll blend it out in a minute. And then I am going to go back to that crease brush that I used earlier with the buck, and I'm going to use that to blend it out. Take your time with this step to really get your blending down the way that you want it. Try not to add too much product at a time. If you're building, as I added a little bit more in the crease and brought it up, if you add too much, you're just gonna weigh it all down, and it's much easier to add than it is to subtract, so take your time. So I'm gonna take a fluffy shadow brush, and I'm gonna go back into my Naked palette and pick up Virgin. I'm gonna use my Virgin for my highlight color and bring that up to the brow bone, and then gently blend it into the top of the previous color, where the buck and Earth met, and also some on the inner corner of the eye, of course. So I just so happen to have an Inglot eyeliner pencil. This is in color 527. That is a very similar kind of turquoise color that goes well, and I'm going to use that on my lower waterline. I'm going to take my thoroughly cleaned pencil brush, and I'm going to dip back into buck with just the tip of it, and I'm going to work that into my lower lash line just to smoke it out a little bit, soften it. For my upper lashes, I'm going to use just a brown pencil. I have a NYX retractable eyeliner pencil. And I'm going to tightline that, so I'm going to put that right close to my lash line in my lashes. I'm going to curl my lashes. And I'm going to use my CoverGirl Last Blast Fusion Lash Blast Fusion in this is brown black, black brown, and black brown. So of course now my neighbor's doing his lawn, so I apologize if that's coming through as you're watching. Gonna go ahead and do my brows. I have MAC and Brown script. For blush, I'm gonna use NYX blush in Pinched. I have my Sonia Kashuk blush brush. A little on the cheeks here. And I'm going to take just a little bit of bronzer. It's summer. Just a little bit of bronzer to contour the face, add a little color up where the sun would hit me. And I'm going to do just a little bit of highlighting with my Benefit High Beam because I'm going out for drinks at a wine bar with a friend of mine and I want to feel a little bit dewy. I use my Expert face brush to blend that in. And finally, I'm going to take a little bit of my Revlon Color Stay pressed powder and I'm just gonna set my makeup on the center of my face just to mattify it a little bit. It's hot here in Seattle today. I know it seems like nothing to people there, but when it's 80 something in Seattle, we're warm. And I don't want to look sweaty. So this keeps a little bit of dewiness on the outside of my face and then keeps my T-zone from looking like I've got, like I'm just sweating all the time. Alright, and finally for lip color, I'm going to use my Sephora Nano pencil in Radiantly Rosy. And then for lip color, I'm going to use NYX in Round Case B52. And that's it. All good to go. Ready for some wine and some nosh with my girlfriend. So I hope that this inspires you to give pigments a try. They're not so scary, and I think you'll really, really love the array of colors that are available. And just the color payoff is ridiculous. Of course, there are a ton of other videos out there that will tell you all the other things you can do with pigments, and I will try and put some of the links here and about for you to check out, including making lip colors, eyeliners, foiling, which is a wet application that gets a really metallic look which I didn't do tonight, but is something that I also love to do. People even make their own custom nail colors out of it. So check out some of those links for other reasons why pigments should be in your life. And try this look. Pick any color. I mean, this will really work with any color that you'd like to try. It's just a nice pop of color. You can pick a more neutral color if you want to wear it to work, or a more vibrant color as I did because I'm going out. Either way, give it a try. See what you think. Don't forget to say what you think in the comments below, and visit us over on Beauty Along at www.beautyalong.com. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. I've never been to heaven, but